Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Ecoffee with Experts. I have on the show with me today a very special guest, Sean Daly. Now, Sean is the founder and CEO of the 108 Group, a full-service digital marketing, web development, SEO agency headquartered in Santa Rosa, California. He is a Northern California-based entrepreneur and internet marketing expert with a strong business and technology background. Through the marketing agencies he has founded, such as Social Media Ninjas and Dealer Marketing Ninjas, Sean helps dozens of small to medium-sized businesses across the U.S. increase revenue through inbound, social media, mobile, and local search marketing strategies. Sean attended the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, and Syracuse University for computer sciences. He also, with his wife Heather, co-founded and directs Loving Home Ministries, a 501c3 nonprofit that supports Kenyan orphans. Sean, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure to be here, Matt. Thanks for inviting me.
Right on. So, Sean, in this episode, we're going to talk about something you're very familiar with, an agency exit blueprint, how to build a profitable, headache-free marketing agency that you can sell for a minimum 2x your annual recurring revenue. Now, I know you. I mean, we've been connected on Facebook for, I think, 10 years, but, it's funny how that goes, and you sometimes you connect with people online, but you don't connect in person. And so we've connected in person like this over the last few weeks. And I know you're very experienced in this. You've exited several agencies. If correct me if I'm wrong, but you've exited several agencies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So this is my third agency exit. It's my fourth or fifth business exit over 30 something years, but wow. 3 marketing agencies over the last 22.
Wow. That is awesome. Because you've obviously got a plethora of experience and probably tips to share and mistakes to avoid and things like that. What is the most important mindset you need to have in order to be as successful as a digital marketing agency owner?
What is the most important
mindset?
Of your mindset. If I had to pick one thing, I would say to succeed as a marketing agency owner, it's really an amalgamation of so many things. I get the question, but there's so many skill sets that if you're missing any one of them, you're going to have that version of pain. So if I had to pick one, I'd say tenacity. Tenacity, right? Just being able to plow through things. Because what I see, and that's not an agency thing, that's a business thing. What I see, the reason, in my opinion, most people that I see fail in business is lack of tenacity. Now, tenacity without intelligence and intelligent reaction is torture. Self-torture. So you have to also put back into the process intelligent reaction to whatever's going on, right? I'm having problems with clients, or I'm having problems with I have a buddy right now who's owned as many agencies as me, and he's having horrible problems with retention of team members. Getting the right people. So there's so many pitfalls that can happen. But you then have to. So actually, I got another one: tenacity and having a mastermind. Wow. I think about what mastermind. What would I never do? I'm going to just go through. I know this isn't the question you asked, but if it's okay and you'll indulge me,
please.
These are my, thou shalt not have an agency without the following. Okay. Why don't we start with these? All right.
Sure.
Now I've never thought about this, so I'm going to go through this in my mind. Thou shalt not, and this is from a friend of mine named Rex Weishart, who was instrumental to me in success early on. And it was really, he was my Obi-Wan Kenobi in the desert.
Oh, wow.
He was in a mastermind I was in, and he just told a bunch of us young buck agency owners all these things to do and not do. So I'm passing on some wisdom in this one, but it was never take it. Now, before I say this, I'm not giving legal or financial advice. This is just something that I think for myself. Okay. Sean would never take $1 outside of the corporation, whatever it is. Okay. So personal Schedule C type business. That's something I would never do. Your mileage may vary, check with your advisors. I would never have an agency that did not at least have the strongly recommended option of using bank drafts or ACH type transactions to get payments from clients.
Okay.
And I would never be operating an agency or in business or really just in my life without having a good, solid team of a regular mastermind group that I'm meeting with every week, which if you haven't, I mean, I think everybody knows what masterminds are these days, but 10 years ago, everybody was like, oh, what's that? And it's, basically a Think and Grow Rich thing. Napoleon Hill, read the book. If you haven't, it's free. But they are amazing. And in the sense of an agency owner, what I would do is have a bunch of other agency owners, some more successful than you, some less, startup guys that are, whizzing the Obi-Wan Kenobi type guy like I've got. And I would have them in a group meeting regularly, and that's going to change your life, like in so many ways.
Wow.
That's your peer group, because we're all, we're in our homes, and we're, it's great. I love it. I live, here with my family, and I work, and it's great, but we're disconnected from colleagues. And some people do have agency buildings they actually drive to, and that's fine. Most of us, though, are working over the internet, and we need that community, because we're all sitting here kind of going slowly crazy sometimes as business owners, as agency owners, trying to figure out problems. And, sure, Facebook groups, blah, blah, blah. But, really just having other human beings that are looking at each other like we are right now is invaluable to me. So that's another one. I'm sure we'll come up with some others. That's my top 3 or 4, however many that was. But
that was great.
I have another one too.
Sure.
You will always have a lieutenant. So you will, thou shalt delegate everything that one canst.
Okay. Delegation is extremely important.
Okay. That was a skill that unfortunately it took me, I'm going to embarrassingly say, almost 20 years to develop as a business owner. Not as an agency owner, probably half the time I was in agencies where, I just was like, a wonderkind. I can do it all. I want to do it all. Everything's interesting to me. And it feeds that sort of, I don't consider myself extremely like ADD type person, but I think many marketers, we live in a world of distraction, and we're surrounded by distraction. We create distraction. This industry feeds on it. And so it's really easy to get distracted by things. And so in doing that all the time, you really need to make sure that you've delegated out certain tasks so that you have the luxury of being able to pursue other things. Otherwise, you're just going to be like spinning around, chasing your tail, not getting anywhere. So also the only way to grow a business is to be a true business owner. So a business owner, an entrepreneur, is, and I'm borrowing this from the E-Myth, which interestingly was written by a guy who lives in the town I'm in right now, Michael Gerber. It's been around forever, but he talks about, don't confuse an entrepreneur, a manager, and a technician. You got to know who you are in that and what you're supposed to be, right? Don't pretend like you're an entrepreneur when you're a technician or a manager. And don't think you're a good manager if you're a sucky manager. You got to find other people that are better than you at every single job in the company and bring them in over time. Day one, I mean, obviously, but as you can, the first thing you're looking to do is peel off each of these tasks: your bookkeeping, your client service, follow up, customer service, your marketing, your lead generation, your whatever it is, right? All the roles in the company, because that frees you up to actually be an entrepreneur if you are in fact talented at that, which not everybody is, and work on or even at least a manager who's working on the business. And it's trite, but it's true that if you're working in the business, you can't be working on the business. And that's what happens is everybody gets head down, and I get it. It swallows you. Day-to-day clients swallow you, tasks swallow you, finances, bookkeeping, blah, 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 everything. Right. And you're just like, I just don't have time. And the only defense you have against that condition and creating more time is to radically delegate all the time, which will also have the more important benefit and side effect of allowing you to maximize your income and maximize the growth of the agency. So I didn't get that for a very long time. And the discipline of delegation is not like a destination. It's a journey. You can always get better. It's like some people say, oh yeah, I'm a good delegator. I brought this person on and I've got this personal assistant and VA and they're doing everything. Like, but look at everything you do. Like audit your day and how you spent your time. And you should always think to yourself, do I need to be the person doing that? Is it a best use of my time to be doing that? Also, what is my time worth? What would I like my time to be worth? Is it $500 an hour? Is it $1,000 an hour, $200 an hour? How do you value yourself? And then you have to look at mathematically, am I earning for every hour I choose to work, whether that's 5 or 40 or 100, am I doing tasks that are worth that amount per hour. And if not, then I need to find out where the weakness is. Well, you can see I wrote a 1,000-page book on optimization of the Windows Enterprise operating system right here. Okay.
Wow.
So I'm very into optimization, right? And I don't always live it. I'm not perfect by any means at this, but that's essentially is where is the bottleneck in my income? And that's usually going to come from lack of delegation, because we are all at the end of the day, limited human beings. We have families, we have other interests, we things that hopefully, and we take care of ourselves, and we need to work out and, go out and touch grass, as they say on Twitter all the time, right? In the crypto Twitter, right? You got to go touch grass. So in order to do that, you need to have other people that you empower. So anyway, I don't want to beat that over the head, but
So you would say like that book, Michael Gerber's book, The Myth Revisited, I can't begin to go on and tell you how many business owners and agency owners I've told to read that book that have never heard of it. So I'm glad you mentioned it, because it's in my opinion, it is a key book to read as an entrepreneur and a business owner. And so would you say that it did you start to develop his philosophy of, taking your entire company, and he would talk about developing the organizational map and then developing the duties of each one of those positions and deciding in the beginning who was going to do those things, and then eventually hiring people. Like, let's say you have 3 people in the startup of an agency or business, one person's going to be the CEO, even if they all have equal shares. Then one person's going to be VP of sales, one person's going to be the marketing director, or CMO, or whatever. And then you figure out all the positions that are under, and you work like mad for 12, 16 hours a day to get up and going until you can generate, or unless you have startup capital to generate enough revenue to hire people to fill those positions. Is that something you think the people
I recognize I recognize the value of it, and so the spirit of it is always with me. So it's one of those sort of governing principles or core values in me that I'm always thinking about. So the importance for me is not about like the hierarchy maps and doing all that, although go wild if that's your thing, because I'm not really a big details guy. Like, I don't want to get buried in details. I used to be. I've sort of moved on from that, where I'm not into systems and processes to the point where I'm not doing the work, and I'm not, and I get dragged down in those details. So again, delegation, I bring other people in to build project management systems and run them. And, I participate in them as lightly as possible because I hate it, but I recognize the value and the importance of it. You have to have systems and processes. And then you were talking about going back to the E-Myth thing, delegation. And absolutely. You have to understand that people, at least at a global level, one should understand that, you're kind of screwed out of the gate if you've got people doing jobs that they're not inherently good at, whether it's you or your partners or what have you. Now, I've never really had business partners in the traditional sense in my businesses. I've always been more of a solo entrepreneur who works with other people, and I work with other agencies collaboratively. I've done joint ventures type things and things like that. So it's not like I don't work with other people, but in terms of my companies, I tend to keep the teams small. And highly leveraged outsourcing model, where I tend to use, and I'm drifting sort of into another side topic here, but this is a preferred agency model discussion. Can I shift that way?
Absolutely. I was waiting, and I was going to ask you, what is the keys then to structuring and building an agency that can scale? So this will lead right into it. Like, please go ahead.
Okay, it's really tough to become an organically grown in-house agency that hires people directly. If you can do that, God bless you. I know people that have built agencies like that. It's really hard to start there unless somehow you've gotten funding or something. If you're doing the organic growth startup model, and this is the model that I eventually, because trust me, I didn't get any of this stuff right. I made so many mistakes. My first agency, I actually did have a really awesome in-house team of 6 people, and they were amazing, and I could have done anything with them. It's not about what you do. It's the team you do it with. So you can move mountains and you can do anything with the right team. So building your team, regardless of their role, whether they're contractors or employees or they're members of white label agencies that you have a relationship with through your vendor client relationship, they're still on your team. Okay. Making good choices and hiring those people is tantamount to your success. And when you have that, you can do anything. You can build software, you can chase your fancies, but if you don't have that, you're not going anywhere. And so back to my first team, I did that, but it was very encumbering. It was very cumbersome. I had to it just, I had to deal with a lot of things, with the employee stuff, and it wasn't even as complicated or as expensive as it is now. I'm in California, which is really bad. So I did all that. It was great. But when I rebooted in 2010 and I started a new agency, actually, I kind of did another thing before that in 2006, but talking about like more of a digital marketing agency. When I did that, I said, I'm going to do this a little bit differently this time. Like I'm going to use more of what I call a leveraged outsourcing model.
Okay.
And that's the idea of finding really high quality white label vendors for a lot of core activities, not necessarily everything, but knowing what I want the agency to do, regardless of how many people's on this team, knowing, okay, what are our core competencies and interests? Like what should we be doing? And I have seen it where that is simply dealing with the clients, not for me, but other agencies where it's like dealing with the clients. I have seen it where it's fulfillment and people outsource, like to somebody like Dot & Company, who does outsourced client relationship management. That's all they do. They got into
it. Wow. So they manage the clients for you?
They manage the clients for you. Yeah. And I think I'm not quoting prices, but like it starts at like a couple $1,000s a month, whatever, for depending on how many clients you have.
Wow.
But you can skin this cat no matter what way you want to do it. There's so many ways to do this, right? So, but what you should not do is have an unexplored subconscious thought form that says you must do this or this thing, because you're wrong. You don't have to do any part of the business. You could literally be a virtual agency owner. You could be, in fact, this person I would tip my cap to and have the most respect for at this stage of my life, where you literally have nothing but the ownership of the agency. You hire somebody to be the agency director. And then you tell that person how to run the model, or hopefully they maybe already know some of it. And you build a completely virtualized model where you have, again, minimum number of in-house team members. You use a completely leveraged model, meaning you've got white label PPC fulfillment, Facebook ads, SEO, website development. You build systems to allow these people to talk together, and you have one person who's sort of like the octopus that's like, managing all these outsourced agencies and so forth. And you could even outsource, like I just said a few minutes ago, the client service part of it, or keep that if you like. But let me just pause there.
Okay.
As the agency owner, you probably got into this. I hope you got into this with some passion and joy for doing this. Otherwise, my question to you would be, what are you doing? So this whole thing I was just building with this, kind of cool experiment in virtual agency ownership, that would be for somebody that's not really into it anymore. Like me, for example, right? I don't really want to own a digital agency anymore. I want to work with marketing and so forth and agency owners, but I don't want to do that. But I could easily, if I wanted to, build an agency where I'm not doing any of the parts that I don't want to do anymore. And I could still own an agency, right?
Wow.
And which may make sense, because at least I would be in a uniquely qualified position to be able to assess how that agency is being run and give occasional consultation as the ultimate, the owner and maybe board member or whatever, right? So I'm just saying, like, you can do that. So I think radically thinking about divorcing yourself mentally from the business and all the tasks in the business. And if you do choose to do something, you choose to do it based on your passion for it, your talent, or some hybrid thereof, or the temporary necessity that you're doing it until such time as you're able to delegate it. If it does not meet the qualifications, either now or in the future, that role of being something you want to do or you should be doing. Okay. So what you should be doing, it's the coolest thing in the world. Imagine I'm a football guy. Okay. Imagine if you were like an in shape athlete and you were a team owner. I don't know, this is crazy, but and you were like, I can run on the field and play any position I want in any game. Like that would be my dream. Like I'm going to be the running back here. I really wouldn't want my body destroyed by this, by the way. But if I was like 21 and in great shape and willing to trash my body and risk CTE later in my life, I could run on. I could be a tight end or whatever. Okay, obviously that's ridiculous, and fans would not like this. But that's what you are as an agency owner. You can run on the field and do whatever you want to do any day you want. That's the freedom you should be giving yourself. Now, that is not what most agency owners do. They think, I have to do this. I got to grind this out. I got to do this every day. Yeah. And that's like, and then they complain later that I lost my joy. I lost my passion. I hate this now. Never allow a business to grow to the point where you hate it or hate any part of it, because that's not a failure on the business's part, or you're not a victim. It's a failure of planning on your part. including myself in previous businesses. So I think it's like let's switch gears a little bit towards posturing towards a sale, because that's obviously part of what we're talking about here is successfully.
Can I just ask?
Yeah.
I just want, so what you're saying is, and what I've heard is that in order to start an agency, you shouldn't try and do everything yourself inside the agency. You should not, if you're starting up, you should not hire the in-house to organic trying to develop, because that takes capital to develop and hire all those in-house employees. But you should instead develop a model where you should instead develop a model where you can partner with outsource partners as much as possible to delegate as many things as possible in order to grow. Otherwise, it's
Yes. Let me just give an example of, has some specificity to it, and you can change the names to protect the innocent here. But with a system, like I happen to go high level, and a lot of people do these days. I used to use ClickFunnels, not very long time ago, but before that we were just cobbling everything together, manually with WordPress sites and whatever flavor of the month funnel software and so forth. But with high level, for example, there are companies out there that have pre-trained high level specific knowledgeable people that you could build your high level SaaS-based system for your clients. And you could then hire pre-screened, pre-trained team members that you could then employ to use to manage your digital marketing funnels inside high level for your clients. That exists. Wow. That's not mythological. Right? There's a whole industry built around it. So, again, when you say we're going to do it in-house, we're going to do it ourselves and everything, you have already surrendered over so much of your time and created so much headache that is not necessary. Now, you may choose to do that, which is different. You might say, okay, well, we've looked at the offerings out there. I'm not really finding what I want. So we're going to build it this way. And you should build it to fit like a glove for you. There's no one way. Again, everybody wants to go, okay, exactly how's this guy doing this? It's like, well, that's built on my idiosyncrasies and my journey over 35 plus years as an entrepreneur. So, if you got somebody who's raring to go, young and energetic, and stars in their eyes, and that's awesome. That was me at 19, 20 in my first business. You're willing to do more, but even if you're that person, okay, that guy or gal, you have to ask yourself, is that the best thing I can do? And if you can take the old wisdom mindset and put it into the young body and the time frame, that's when you're going to go crazy as far as making money, because you're going to learn from your elders. Right. That's what almost nobody does. It's like youth is wasted on the young kind of thing. It doesn't have to be. Not in the age of YouTube and masterminds and, the information everywhere. So I'm just saying, if you can learn from others that are smarter than you. Right. So, and because there's a lot of people out there that have documented their experiences where you can go, okay, note to self, I'm not going to do that. And just anyway, so it's just being mindful about all that.
Yeah. So does that mean then that the agency owner, startup, whatever person, instead of trying to do everything in the business, should delegate those things? And what should the main things that they focus on be? I don't know if this is a leading question or not, but what comes to my mind is marketing and sales. You should solely focus on marketing and sales of the agency.
Yes.
And getting as many leads and customers and clients as you can, and outsourcing everything else.
Yeah. Well, you should know how you're going to fulfill it. So what I would do before I started the business is I'd build a fulfillment framework. I wouldn't go crazy, building out the world's greatest system until I have clients. Now, you don't have to do it this way. You can get a client first and then figure it out. But the trap that I have seen occur there is where somebody gets a client. And in fact, this is how it starts. This is the classic agency startup model. Yeah. Just me, myself, and I get a client. Doesn't matter how I got them, friend, family, member, referral, the old employer or whatever. Have the client. Now I'm really busy. I'm doing everything. My time's buried from doing this one client. Maybe I get the second one, the third one. They start referring me, whatever it is. Now I have absolutely no time. Now I'm trying to simultaneously fulfill. At the same time, I'm trying to build a system for my business for fulfillment, customer service, sales and marketing, and you're already screwed, right? So it's so much better. It's so much better to go, okay, who's going to fulfill these key roles? What are the key roles of things like customer service fulfillment? What is my model, right? How do I communicate with clients and provide reports, and how do I do sales and marketing and all that? Build at least a wireframe model of it. And then once you know how you're going to take care of one client, you just have this perfect client in your mind, right? And then you build out a fulfillment system that you think is going to work. And, it's it's like Mike Tyson said, everybody goes into a fight with a plan so they get punched in the face, but you're going to have one on paper that you think is going to work, and you know how things are getting done, and it minimizes your time involvement. That's key. And then what you said, now you're going to be all in on sales and marketing, right? However you want to do that. Again, personal involvement. Every time that it's an admission of defeat every time as a business owner, agency or otherwise, that you say, oh, I need to do that. Do you think that the greatest business owners out there, do you think the people that are super successful, 30 to 50 year careers that have made millions or billions of dollars, right? Do you think that they're going to go out and go, I need to do everything in this company to start a new business? Or do you think that they're going to pull in their team as the first thing and build the engine, right? And then worry about it. They're the person that has the mind. They're like the giant brain that's making it all happen, because entrepreneurship is a creative art. It's a creative form. It really is. People think of business as like very left-brained. It's actually the really right-brained, because you're dreaming a business, right? So dream well. Like, don't just dream big, but dream well. Dream intelligently. Dream a model that actually makes some freaking sense. If you run screaming into the night to build this business and it's just like your hair's on fire and it's chaos, it's really fun. I get it. It's a lot of adrenaline. You're just cracking out on your business. You're just cracking out on it. And you're going to wake up with a serious hangover. Yeah. And it's going to feel sort of good. It's going to be a little icky, but you're going to have some money and stuff. And you're going to be like, yeah, I built a business. It's like, no, you built a headache. You build a future blow up is what you built. Yep. And you put a ceiling over your head. Go ahead.
I did that. I'm going to be frank with you and transparent, vulnerable, whatever. I did it. I had a business. I had a business partner who went out and sold 4 clients. It should have been $20,000 worth of work for each client, and he charged $5,000 and then made me. Now he didn't make me, but suggested that I be the one that do everything because I needed to learn. Well, that's ridiculous. Like, I didn't need to learn it all. I could do it all, but I wanted to outsource. I wanted to find fulfillment partners, but then there wasn't enough money to do that. And it was like under the guise of, well, we're just starting up. We need to get these clients. And it was an absolute nightmare. I was working 14, 15, 16 hours a day.
And I'll tell you something,
it really took the wind out of my sails in regards to, as well as other things, to even wanting to do that again. Obviously I'm doing this for digital web solutions, but I wish some of the things that you're sharing now, I wish I had known 10, 15 years ago. So I hope that people get tremendous value out of this, because you're sharing things that are just could solve people a whole bunch of headaches. So then if you try and, build the maps to a certain degree of your fulfillment model, just curious, you chose, like there's people who are general marketing agencies. I'm not gonna name names, but like they do everything and they claim to do everything, but yet they don't. And they don't even offer, there's some agencies I've talked to where they say they do SEO, but they don't. And so, there's 2 questions here. I got to slow down. The first question: should you try and be a general marketing agency like Acme Marketing in Chicago that offers and services local clients, or should you niche down to a specific type of client like you did? You did dental, social, you did marketing for Dental Marketing Ninjas. I think that was the name of your.
In addition to a more general brand, which was Social Media Ninjas. Yeah. So again, there isn't one pat answer, nor should there be. It's what is part of your dream? What is the dream of your business? Do you want to do everything? And each scenario presents opportunities and challenges that are unique to them. Okay. And I've literally done both. So I've had multiple generic sort of general, I've had several industry specific type businesses. Where I am now, if you pick a niche business in a particular industry, here are the advantages. Let me just list some of the advantages. The advantages are less competition. Okay. Should be a lot less competition. The ability to reuse campaigns and knowledge, which is wasted when you're working with 22 different, like we were working with like 40 different industries in the other business. It's like, you're probably not going to see another, left-handed underwater basket weaver or, whatever, roofer, or, some thing that you did once, but you're also doing like, 39 others. And it's just, you're not going to get all the repeat. That is going to cost you. That's going to be very expensive for you, and it's also going to be a waste because you're going to collect a lot of knowledge and resources and abilities and so forth. Now, here's where it can be good is you work with a few industries or however many, and then you find one where you're like, I really like this industry. Gee, I think there's like, you start researching and saying, I want to do more of this. I like this. So that can be good, but there's also other ways to figure that out. You don't have to use trial and error because that's expensive and could be costly for you. So I would say, so choose wisely. If you're going to go the vertical, the niche path, choose very wisely. Choose an industry that's recession proof. Choose an industry that isn't overcrowded. Dentistry to me is overcrowded. I would not choose that niche today. But I mean, you can still win. I'm not saying you can't, but it's like, it's been flavor of the decade for marketing. It's not even flavor of the month. It's like, there's a million and dentists are over marketed too. They're still great when you get them though, but so anyway, there's a lot of other ones out there. There's so many weird industries that make really good money that if you can find out about one of them, there's there's also more up and coming things. I mean, I've heard about like weird niches, like what is it like? Well, you've got some offshoots of even things like cosmetic surgery, and I'm not telling anybody to go into this, but you could look into things like, where you have cool sculpting, or you have these more like, I don't want to say fad procedures, but there's money and people are spending it and it's stood the test of time and it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. I wouldn't tie myself to anything too faddish because it could just get, you want something that's going to be around for the long haul. So it's got to be something that meets that criteria where people are spending money irrationally on it, which could be pets, kids, hobbies, golf. I'm just thinking of things that people spend irrationally on no matter what the economy is. Or things like, things related to building and construction, but that does change in different economies. So you just have to look at that. But medical health, right? That's obviously a big one too. People are never going to sacrifice their health past a certain point. So if you can look into industries that are connected with, those types of areas, irrational, exuberant, hobby, passion things, children, pets, and stuff, or stuff where it's, we just know how much America, the world spends on health and lifestyle. So that's always a good thing. But regardless of what it is, it's them making money, right? It's those businesses in that industry. And then if you can if you have a particular connection to that industry, like it, these are things that might push it up a little more. Like I used to work in that industry. My dad worked in that industry. My best friend works in that industry. I've gotten some insider tips about how underserved this industry is. That might also be your secret sauce and your angle, right? That's fine too. But you also need to vet it to make sure that I can actually make a living out of this. Like I could still be doing this reasonably 10 years from now. But let's just assume for a second, you meet all this criteria, you find such a niche and you're like, yes, and it's working out. Then you can just crush it, right? Because you can go in, you can build, you get to spend all of that time that you build overhead, you build marketing funnels, emails, autoresponders, landing pages, and everything. You're not only going to get to reuse that stuff, you're going to get to split test it across multiple clients over time to have emerging the best of the best of the best. And then that's going to make your value proposition even better. And you're never going to get that when you're in 5 industries or 10 industries, or 50 industries. I mean, I'm sorry, you can't do it. You'll crush yourself. Even a large agency couldn't do that. So that's the thing, is if you can find it and maybe build a few vertical brands. So build them up as silos. So you build one vertical agency, and then later you find another one and you build a second one that's maybe,
and it could be complementary.
That would be even better. I like that, where you can get like referrals to them. One lends itself to the other. And so that's a great comment. Anyway, so yes, general agencies are much tougher. They're much more distraction and waste prone. Wow. That's what I'll say. Not to say you can't be, but the people I respect the most, I see them doing vertical for the most part.
It's hitting home because I started a general marketing agency in 2011. And if I could go back, I would have chosen a vertical. In fact, frankly, not to talk about myself, but I did decide to go into the automotive industry in 2013 and sold cars in order to become one of them and eventually start a dealer marketing agency. And anyway, that's a story in and of itself that I'll maybe get on somebody else's podcast and talk about my story. But I did have that intention, so I know what you're talking about, and I would much rather, if I could do it today, choose a specific niche to target and learn as much about that niche as I possibly could.
Going back
to be successful.
Yeah. Going back to the sale aspect.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I want to tie it to that discussion. So one of the things that I have seen, and I got one today, literally from the dental thing, is you get dental companies, DSOs, dental service organizations, or other companies that are in the industry that want to make a strategic acquisition of somebody who's in that industry already to get cross leverage. And I'm telling you, I have a friend who just sold his agency for millions of dollars, and they didn't even care. It was a software platform in a particular agency, but they didn't even care about the software. They just wanted the list. I mean, they'll keep the software up and everything, but they really just wanted the list of customers. So what happens is, if you can build that, and then sometimes it's that they're a larger agency that acquires both, either in vertically, or they're looking to they have a dental cutout or whatever, the construction or whatever your agency is siloed in. They say, oh, that's strategic for us. It's part of our, let's just say we have a cadre of construction industries, and you happen to be doing roofing and they don't have one yet. So what happens is you get a lot of that type of interest and outreach from people that are just cold, like, hey, my client's interested. And I get those constantly. I literally got one this morning for dentistry. They think I'm still the owner of the agency.
They still think you're the owner wanting to sell, wanting to buy it.
Yeah. But I get those like multiple times a month. And so those are all opportunities to sell.
Yeah. Obviously, like, we could talk about this for like, you could create an entire course on this. You could create an entire mastermind.
Considering it
so many things. I think you should. Like, I really do think you should. But setting up all of those things, but in order to be headache free, I think the biggest thing is that you've talked about is making sure that you aren't the technician, that you're actually in the business, working on the business, not in the business. But what comes in this sale? Like, here's my question is, gosh darn it, it's so hard to figure out, like, man, the things you've shared are just so amazing, because when you outsource to a fulfillment partner, you know what your dead cost is, as opposed to having to come up with what your cost per action is on your SOP. You already know what it is. So just go sell it. Right. And so
you know exactly how much you're making.
You know how much shit. Oh, sorry, language. Sorry. Like, I didn't know how to, like, I worked in a car dealership as the marketing director, and I had tremendous success, but I didn't know how to turn myself into cloning myself into, like, how do I scale this damn thing? And it was so hard. And now I would have gone back and I would have, like, recorded my time every 15 minutes of what I was doing and generated my SOPs. But that's not what I'm trying to get at. What I'm trying to get at is, you've got this, you've made it to the point where you've done this, where you've got the fulfillment partners, you're churning out money, or you're getting clients, you're managing, you created this system. How do you know when to sell and when's a good time to sell? Like, do you get it up to, like, I think a minimal viable product, I'm talking out of my, right now, I don't know, like 2 years. Yeah. Like, I think in order to go to a bank, you have to have 2 years of business in order to get financing. Like, is it like work your butt off for 2 years and then exit this thing and get,
it'll present challenges to not have P&Ls for 2 years. I like that number too. I would agree with that number. It doesn't mean you couldn't sell it in a year and a half, but you're going to get an attempt to discount the agency based on, well, I don't know, there's a lot of risk here because we haven't really seen like 2 years, and you had maybe you were just playing out of your skull last year. You get a lot of that. So there's less of an opportunity. It's going to solidify your numbers better, and your ability to be fairly paid based on your numbers, I think, when you have a little bit longer track record. So I like that number, but I don't want anybody to hear me as saying wait 2 years, but that seems like a reasonable minimum. And, in most cases, it's going to take 2 years to build, minimum, to build a viable agency that's going to hit the numbers that I'm about to say, which, hey, listen, everybody's numbers are their own, right? But I like the idea of going all in aggressively to try to build it as quickly as possible in the beginning, based on based on leverage scaling model, based on all that, obviously not destroying your life and not seeing your family and letting your health go by the wayside. But the quicker you can get there, the quicker you can then, flip it into something, if that's what you want to do. But think about it with the end in mind. You start with the end in mind, right? Old Stephen Covey thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So start, what do you want to sell this agency for? And in what time frame? That will then determine your strategy, right?
Oh my goodness.
It should. So I say each time when I start a business now, I say, how long am I going to have it? What do I want to sell it for? And then what does that, it's just like creating a brand. It's like, okay, how does this brand act on social media? How does it look and think and talk? And what does it say? What images does it post on Facebook, right? It's like, okay, so this successful agency that is sold for $10 million in 3 years, what does it need to do? What does it look like? And everything needs to meet that criteria. Otherwise, you're just kidding yourself. Like if you don't hold that accountability to say, here's my future thought, here's my future sale. Okay, now let's wind that back. Okay, because that gets into details we obviously don't have because it's going to be case by case. However, what we can say is that, and what you should say, and what I'm here to tell you is that future buyer, okay, be that person. Now you're walking into the business and okay, now we're flipping it. Like, okay, I'm not me. I'm me outside me selling this to now sell myself on this as the buyer of this business. Why am I buying this business? Okay.
Yeah.
Here's like the sales pitch. I'm going to give you an example, right? And this is in my mind, I think, okay, this is a turnkey operation that does not require me. These are all important points. Okay. Oh, yeah. I have procedures, systems, and people in place to be able to literally hand the keys over. The company, again, this is not financial or corporate or legal advice, but I like to build them in a silo in their own company, not with any other assets mixed in. They're completely their own, whatever. In my case, LLC. I do taxes and S corp, right? That's what I do, and it's in its own silo. There's no asset sale. It's like you can just hand the whole thing over if that's what they want. Or if it becomes not a stock sale, but an asset, or excuse me, not an asset sale, but a stock sale for whatever reason, because you never know what a buyer is going to want. And they're very different. You have to ask an attorney about how they're different. But if it goes that way, it's going to be an empty can at the end of the day. Literally, you don't have to worry about any other things because that's what happens in it. It's like, well, what's this? And what did you spend money on here? And this is connected to another business, or this is something that seems personal, or, which you definitely want to do. But anyway, it's like everything for that entity, that agency is inside of one LLC with nothing else mixed in. For me, I would never do it any other way. Okay. That is, you'll be falling over yourself, thanking yourself when you go to sell it. If you have that, because it's going to be like so easy. Now I've done it the hard way, but that's how I know. Okay. My first business sale took a year. I had 3 different parties that I dealt with it was over a couple of years, but with the final buyer, it took, I think it was just over a year to sell it. And it was like one of the worst, maybe the worst business year of my life, just going through the sale, running business at the same time, because it was a stock sale. And I think we started as a stock sale, and then it became an asset sale. So they get up in your business because how they're taking on the liability of how the company was run, as opposed to just buying an asset, like buying the customer list and the goodwill and, the things, right? Which is super clean. It's like me selling you, this cup or this phone, right? It's an asset. Yeah. Okay. We agree on the price. Here it is. We do the, hold harmless stuff and blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's clean. But that gives you the option of putting that only one entity into whatever the container is that you choose to do with your attorney and your CPA. You have the option of doing either one. Now I did do an asset sale in my first real-time publishers agency. And at the end of it, it literally became an empty canister. I had a C Corp that was just an empty container. And I renamed it after my kids and then used it for other things. And it was fine. That was fine. I didn't mind having that empty container. It actually became a tax benefit to me to do it. But I would have been just as happy if I had built that company correctly, which I didn't, to be able to do a stock sale at that time and just hand the keys over. And you're actually taking the entire structure of the corporation, not vacuum cleaning the assets out of it. If that makes sense. Those are 2 different sales scenarios.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So
absolutely.
Building with the end in mind. So you want it to be as clean as possible. You don't want any BS as an agency owner when you go to sell this business. And the buyer is going to have questions about things. Like they want to see that there's no mixing of anything. other businesses, other things where it's like, oh, well, there was this. And you don't want to have all these asterisks all over the place because you're going to spend a ton of time with it being like, just keep everything out that's not related to the company. Just keep it as pure as possible.
Okay.
And think about the books that you're running from the eyes of a future buyer, and more importantly, a future transaction where you're negotiating. And one of the strengths of your negotiation on your side as a seller is to be able to say, going back to my speech, is like, listen, I set this company up. I've got systems in place, automated systems for the way that clients are fulfilled, the way that we approach clients. I've got reliable partners or team members or employees or whatever your deal is that are already in place to do this. I've even got backups for some of my vendors. So if the vendor was to go, this is another question you're going to get. Oh, okay, great. I see that you're using this vendor. Okay. But I I do this for myself. I don't just do this to impress a future buyer. I have a backup because I have had the phone call where it just happened with a vendor of ours, actually, in the agency, where they said, you know what, it's been a great ride, but we've decided to stop offering these white label services to anybody. We're just not doing it anymore. I'm not going to say names.
Just like that. Just like that. Just like that.
Yeah. Just overnight.
Just like that. Just like that.
And we've got 40 campaigns running on that.
And my goodness.
And by the way, good ones don't grow on trees. So you try to have backup options. I'll even have conversations with other providers, like white label, whatever the SEO, graphics, I don't care what it is. I'll have the conversation to the point, and I might even throw them the occasional bone of a job to see what it's like to try them out as a sort of system that's running and warmed up, like a backup generator that I can turn on if the lights go out. Okay.
Bloody smart.
And if you don't do that, now you should do that anyway for your own peace of mind. But let me tell you, when a buyer sees you, they're like, this is a well-managed and well-run and thoughtfully run business that I don't have to stress about, because these are the things they're going to stress about. They're going to spend millions of dollars most likely on this business. And they're going to be like, well, but maybe I don't know this that well. And what happens? And this guy or this gal, they know everything and they know where all the bodies are buried. And you have to make it so they can imagine themselves to walk into the console of the business and they know where everything is. They've got other people doing everything. They'll have time to learn the business, learn the specifics. Wow. Even if they already know agency work, if you can create that glove-like fit, that comfortable, warm and fuzzy fit for them, that is going to be dollars in your pocket in the sale. And it's going to remove very expensive BS that you're going to spend a lot of money with CPAs, bookkeepers, attorneys, back and forth wrangling, the buyer trying to knock you down in your price because of their concerns over these things. You got to make it where it's impeccable. You don't gotta, but you should. And just, and to the point of like ridiculousness, like even beyond, because, we can all for ourselves, like I can be casual, like I can kick back and just do this however. And I've run it that way. I've been like, that's a lifestyle business, right? That's where you're like, this fits my lifestyle and that's cool. But lifestyle businesses run that way suck to sell because people are going to come in and go, well, I'm not you. And I don't know where all the bodies are buried. And gee, seems like you're playing kind of fast and loose with some of this stuff.
Yeah, flying by the seat of your pants.
Exactly. It's going to cause you're barnstorming your entire business. Okay. It's okay. You are forgiven, my child, if you started that way. Okay. If you started that way, it's fine. But man, if you've done any of that, which we all have, by the way. Okay. If you've done that, it's okay. But from henceforth, you're done doing that now. Now you're going to build a squeaky clean business that's ready to have the keys handed over to the new party with just no muss, no fuss. And man, I got a buddy, Zach, who's really good at this too. He's even taken it farther than me, where every company is in its own silo. Cause I sometimes will have multiple entities in a silo stuff. He's like, new entity, new anything,
new business. You mean it's new LLC. New LLC. That's what you mean. There's no division of its own entity.
It's its own entity and its own corporate silo of some kind, its own legal structure. And he does that radically. And then even beyond that, the way the books are run, everything is its own set of books, its own, everything is
so much sense. Yeah.
No mixing whatsoever, even between the companies. Even though at the top of it, there's a holding company. Again, I'm not giving financial or legal advice, but the way he and I both do it is we have a sort of an empty permanent entity that's the parent company that has nothing in it, close to nothing in it. And that entity owns the other entities. Okay. I like that structure smart. Personally.
I do too.
Yeah.
And the holding. And so I'm guessing, so forgive me, we're not giving financial or legal advice, but I'm assuming that all those child companies the holding company, because I think this is bloody brilliant. You have the holding company, and I'm assuming all the profits get paid to the holding company, parent company.
Sure.
Is that how it works?
And then you just hold. It's the the ultimate owner, but you can do that however you're advised to do it.
Okay.
But you can have the money run however you want. That's really up to you. But it's more of a control thing and a cleanliness of structure thing, right? So if I was to start one agency, I'd start two companies. But if I had no business, if I'm starting from scratch, I would create an empty LLC I'll own forever and name it after my kids or whatever name, but it's like, I'm going to have this for forever, probably.
Yep.
There's no point in selling it. It's not going to have anything in it, as we will see. Then I will create a second one that one then owns. Okay. And again, what the entity types I'm not going to get into. For me personally, I would probably choose, in most cases, LLCs, and I would have them, taxes, and S corp, or possibly not. And so one would own the other. And then this is where I'd build the agency, and everything would happen in here. And all the money and everything related to that agency is run here. And then when I sell that, this entity, the top one, sells that entity to another entity.
Oh, yeah. That is so smart.
I still keep it. And if I start new companies, they're under the org chart of the top one. And that just, and my friend and I, who have both been doing this for like 30 years, we both agree, like, from everything we've seen, that's where we've arrived to. Like, that's the best. We talked about it. We're like, we won't ever do it any other way. So that's what's worked for us. Your mileage may vary, but that's what I like.
Bloody brilliant. So then you don't even ignore what I said. I understand what you're saying. Like, to have the parent company and keep all the money in the child companies, and then when you make the sale, you get the big payday to the holding company.
It's not even about like where the money resides. That's different. I can't get into that, but it's just more about the entity itself, because the numbers aren't going to change. Like how much it makes, the profit and loss, all that. That's irrelevant to where the cash goes. That's up to you. How you retain that. But what's important is that entity is a self-contained entity that's super clean, and that facilitates your ability to do that. Here are the keys, right? Because you want it to be clean, and that means you. And okay, now let's tie this back to thou shalt delegate everything. You see how they match up? Because you've delegated everything. Everything that you are doing, which, by the way, I'm guilty of this myself. Like I was doing all the sales for my previous agency. Guess what I'm still doing now, having sold it 8 months ago? All the sales for that agency still. Not full time, but that was part of my earnout. So I get punished by my own failure to do, or my own indulgence of my joy of selling. Well, that became a trap. I never hired another closer. So I'm still the closer for the company. I don't have to be past a certain point in like 2 months, but I basically caged myself by that one little thing I didn't do, that one thing I held on to because I like it and whatever. And,
okay.
So when I say these things, I'm not like preaching from, not knowing what I'm doing. I'm saying like, this is like, these are the lessons. And even though I feel really good about like all the other delegation and that I did most of what I've said in this, the one thing you don't do is the one thing that will blow up. You won't get away with it later. So everything you choose now, I'm not going to do what that guy said, or I'm not going to do what I heard. I know that you're going to pay for it. It's either going to come out of your bottom line, or it's going to cage you, or it's whatever it is. So it depends on, again, that vision is what do I want to make? And then what do I want my freedom level to be? And then this is a topic for another day, because I know we're running out of time, but it's, structuring the deal. Like that's maybe what we could talk about if you ever want to get together again.
Absolutely.
We could do is like how to structure the deal and the specifics about how to make sure that future asset purchase agreement or business sale agreement is as advantageous to you as the business agency owner as possible.
Wow.
There's a lot to that.
I think we'll leave it there. The golden nuggets that you shared are just wow. I know there's going to be tremendous value in this to the community. So the industry anyway, I really want to thank you for coming on the show. How can our listeners, if listeners want to connect to you and reach out to you and predominantly we have agencies that listen to our shows and watch our stuff. How can they connect with you if they want to?
Yeah, sure. Well, they could send me an email at Sean, SEAN. So it's SEANDAILY. I'm sure you'll have that on the screen somewhere. So it's Sean Yeah, the108group.com.
The108group.com.
And then I'm on Twitter, but it's mostly football and NFTs and crypto, but I'm on there as Sean Daly, at Sean Daly. Those are the best ways. Yep. And the website is the108group.com, but it's a holding company website. So not a whole lot going on there.
Not a whole lot going on. Yeah. Are you on LinkedIn in case people want to connect with you on LinkedIn?
Yes, I'm also on LinkedIn. I think it's in / Sean K Daly, if I remember right. I'd have to look it up.
Well, we'll put it in the notes. Okay. People will be able to.
It's Sean Daly. Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
So it's LinkedIn in Sean Daly.
Okay, cool. Twitter. Hey, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it, and I hope we can get together again and talk about part 2.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Thanks, Matt.
Fantastic. Okay, enjoy your day.